Let's talk audio quality fundamentals. Well, when talking about sound quality, many often limit the conversation to the format that the music is delivered in. In my experience, the format only means subtle but potentially pleasing differences that you feel when listening through high-quality audio equipment. But it's not the source of great audio quality. Great sound quality sometimes happens by accident in the studio, but most of the time it's a product of a sharp focus from the producer and engineers combined with the raw talent of the musicians that has little to do with the quality of the studio and much more to do with the ability to listen by the people creating. A random sample of legendary rock recordings everybody probably knows could be the Dire Straits album, Brothers in Arms. This was among the first done on digital multitrack tape, allowing for extended dynamic range that the producer decided to take advantage of, resulting in a very expressive record that sounded different from other records at the time. They also allowed themselves to experiment a lot with microphone placement, creating a unique and pleasing sound on Mark Knopfler's iconic guitars. Brothers in Arms was mixed on an analog console through a 1984 Prism 8A to D converter directly to 16-bit DAT tape. Try to compare the 20th anniversary stereo remaster with the original release, and you will simply feel why dynamics is more important than the format itself.
I'm just an aging drummer boy, and in the wars I used to play, and I've called a tune to many a torture session. Now they say I am a war criminal, and I'm fading away. Father, please hear my confession. I have legalized robbery, called it belief. I have run with the money, I have hit like a thief. Rewritten history with my armies and my crooks, invented memories. I did burn all the books, and I can still hear his laughter, and I can still hear his song. The man's too big, the man's too strong. Well, I tried to be meek, I have tried to be mild, but I spat like a woman and I talked like a child. I have lived behind walls that have made me alone, striven for peace, which I never have known. And I can still hear his laughter, and I can still hear his song. The man's too big, the man's too strong. Well, the sun rose on the courtyard, and they all did hear him say, "You always was a Judas, but I got you anyway. You may have got your silver, but I swear upon my life, your sister gave me diamonds, and I give them to your wife. Oh, Father, please help me, for I have done wrong. The man's too big, the man's too strong.
Any high-resolution release of this album is simply upsampled, since Brothers in Arms was recorded at 16-bit, going straight to DAT tape, and it sounds great, with a slight sonic signature that screams early-day AD conversion that was definitely not as sophisticated as it is today. Another example of great recordings everybody might know could be even older album like the Elton John 1973 legendary Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album. It was recorded to a 16-track analog tape in a mediocre studio by legend David Henschel. On this album, the talent and craftsmanship of some extremely good musicians and engineers is evident. David Henschel recalls Elton sitting at the piano one morning writing the super hit song Candle in the Wind. The lyric writer Bernie had given him the lyrics overnight, and Dave watched him write the song while they were having breakfast, and then they went directly into the studio and recorded it about an hour later. It was just unbelievable, and much to the credit of the entire teams of musicians being such in tune with each other. Elton John actually recorded many of the songs in one take, only doing a little vocal overdubbing and backing vocals. The lesson to be learned is that great music should not be overthinked. People that trust their ears simply get more from the music itself than always worrying about theory and cables, for example. In my experience as a sound engineer, the raw talent of the musician is sound quality in itself. Give a cheap Spanish guitar, for example, to a fantastic guitar player and it will sound great. And if you give it to a mediocre guitarist, then it will sound bad. Same guitar, same microphone, same room. My point is that great sound often is just a result of simple fundamental things like talent, a great room, and vision-driven mixing. Thus not necessarily a result of the most refined and expensive gear in the recording process. Very often less is actually more. In my humble opinion, the same kind of thing goes for hi-fi equipment. If the vendor understands that music is something you feel rather than something you calculate, the results usually follow. And if you make sure that the fundamentals like speaker placement and room acoustics are good, you will get a proportional better sound for your money in your room. But that is a subject for another video. For those who listen, try to test yourself when it comes to sound formats. In a blind test, can you hear or feel the difference? If you can, then you know it matters. If not, don't worry about it. So let's talk about the fundamental truths when it comes to music sound quality. File formats or media are not the source of great sound. Great recordings are. 2. The sound from your system can never have more resolution or quality than the source you listen to. 3. The sound of the specific track you listen to can never be better than the master it comes from. In short, a hi-fi system will never sound better than the actual master. This makes the source component and the master material very vital for the potential sound quality you can experience. While this might be fundamentally correct, it is also not true. Most great hi-fi systems does not aim at presenting the music in the most natural and analytical way possible. They simply try to please more than to reveal. After all, you're not looking after imperfections, you're trying to enjoy music in all its glory, right? Sound quality is also positively, negatively affected by your room and a multitude of other factors, as I talked about previously. So you can say that a good source is simply the backbone of a great sound experience. And the source player is often also the bridge to the emotional component of the experience of playing and discovering music. So it's not something to take lightly. Would you like to see more videos like this one? Then please remember to tap and subscribe to the channel. See you next time, where I talk a bit about sound formats and why the 70s kind of was the perfect storm.